Alrighty. So in the challenge today, we're bringing my Ephemeritron that we streamed with earlier, but I've changed quite a bit. I've added a Ghostly Flicker just so I can play Mort Meyer. It's an extra flicker effect, but with Astral 11 Prism, it's typically just a divination. We still only have 2 walls, so it's not really easy to go infinite. We're on Denova Horror because we have Flicker again, so it's a bit easier to support it. I still have 1 Prohibit, 1 Counterspell, 1 Dispel. I've cut Trinket Mage, added an extra Impulse and an extra Forbidden Alchemy. We're also on 2 Pulse and Marasa. I don't remember what I cut for that, to be completely honest, from my last deck list. I know I cut something, but I'm not remembering right now. It might actually just be a Trinket Mage for an Alchemy and a Pulse, and I had 3 Impulse back then. I don't remember. Anyways, the reason I did this is because Trinket Mages just aren't that great in this metagame right now. Everything flies, it doesn't block anything. Trinket Mage exists to block and buy time and cantrip. But when you just have Impulse and Alchemy, it's better. It finds Tron easier, or just as easily, because it digs really, really deep. And when you already have Tron, it digs a lot deeper for the cards you care about. So when the Trinket Mage body doesn't do a whole lot, I like the Impulse and Alchemy. Matchups I expect to get worse is pretty much Affinity, and that's about it. Stompy just eats your dude anyways. Most aggro decks don't really care. Burn gets slightly worse, but Burn's already a fine matchup, so I'm not too concerned about that. The only matchup I'm really concerned about making worse is Affinity. So I've added a bit more respect on the sideboard. I've gone down to 2 Griff and added a 4th Moment's Peace on the sideboard. That should help out a bit. The actual Ancient Grudge artifact hate from Tron isn't that great. I tried Gorilla Shaman, but in the end, like, you care about the dudes and then you care about Atog. So Hydroblast answers Atog and Burn, while Gorilla Shaman only answers Atog. So kind of felt like I didn't want Gorilla Shaman, so I added the extra Fog to help with the dudes. Because they play a 4-4 on 2 and 3, and then you're just rough. So more targets for Ephemerate through Trinket Mage. These find better targets in Muldrifter, so I'm not really concerned about that. Like, if I'm targeting Trinket Mage with Ephemerate, I'm having a bad time, and I'd rather just cast Impulse Sticking for Muldrifter. I 5-0'd with this list already. It's definitely been tested. Affinity is my worst matchup now, I think. And even then, I don't think it's an unwinnable matchup. I'd probably put it around 50-50, maybe slightly favored in me. I don't know. Depends on the list and how good they draw. Because you know how Affinity is. Alrighty, get the first round done. 73, gonna be a 7-rounder today. It's nice. I'm Lopo's list. I'll have to look over it later. This sounds great. This sounds actually really awesome. It's better than great. It's perfect. So I've got choices here. I can go turn 1 Astro, or I can go turn 1 Tower Map. Turn 2 Crack, turn 3 Alchemy. Well, it's not so much for Delver, it's for attrition-based matchups. Like, Gorilla Shaman just isn't that great against Affinity. I tried testing it and I was super disappointed by it. Because you really need it in your opener for it to really do anything. Like, on turn 7, you're either dead or you've won the game. Actually, by turn 4, it's usually you're either dead or you're winning. So, you need Gorilla Shaman those first 3 turns with the colored mana to go for it. It's just not really consistent enough to warrant the slot. Because your endgame overpowers Affinity so much that you don't really need the endgame artifact destruction. You just need to get there to the endgame. That's the biggest issue, is getting to the endgame. And between Hydro and Gorilla Shaman that support your transition to endgame while still stopping Atog, Hydro's the better card. Opponent mulls to 5 too. This is going very well. So I think we're just going to go turn 1 Astrolab, and then turn 2, maybe Cycle, and then turn 3 Map. I don't really need to be that quick, because this will set me up for a better top decks as far as my counter magic. Yeah, that's basically the game plan versus them. Gorilla Shaman doesn't really have a place in the Fog and Hydro game plan, so you either go Gorilla Shaman over Hydro, which just isn't that great because they'll kill you before you set up the Gorilla Shaman. It's an awesome draw. This draw is nutty. We're going to cycle Remote Isle here. Our opponent might be Stompy or something, but with such a low mulligan, we should have time. Yeah, he's Stompy. That's probably one of the better cards I have in the matchup as far as at pressure. Because it's kind of like a hasty 2-2, right? We don't really block their creatures, so it's 2 power. And the Pit Skulk. It's not bad. We should be able to find a fog without too many problems here. Oh, don't even have to play Expedition map. That's perfect. We'll play an Alchemy. Actually, we're actually going to play Pulse on a remote IO here, so I can wall it up. And I can have a wall to block a dude, or if he has the fight spell, we can pulse up our wall. It's going to set us up better, because next turn we only have enough mana to play wall on a 3-drop. I think we're going to go ahead and do that. I don't really care about the card I'm getting so much, but I do want the Pulse in my graveyard, and I want to be able to rebuy the Pulse. Because I want to buy time to support until I find that fog. Our opponent doesn't really have a whole lot of pressure here, so this is going to be pretty backbreaking. These draws is so good. Who needs fog when you just draw like this? Jeez. And then we'll either cast Alchemy, or if he kills my wall, we'll play Pulse, get back Pulse. If he just does this, we can take 5 pretty happily, and it's not a big deal. Just easy block on the Quarian. He's got 2 in hand. Yeah, we're doing fine. Concession. Nice. Okay, so we want our 3 fogs here. We also want Ancient Grudge. We can cut Dispel, we can cut Prohibit, Impulse, all that stuff. We can also cut our endgame here. We don't really need it. We just want the fog locks. This leaves us an extra slot. I'm thinking Prohibit. Stop the vines on my own dude, stuff like that. Or Second Weather. I'm leaning towards Prohibit. So I want Grudge for the relics as well as the longbow they occasionally bring in. Both are pretty common. Once we have the fog lock, winning should be fairly easy. So let's go ahead and bring in Prohibit. This is definitely a matchup where having the 4th fog is great. Don't really miss the Trinket Mage because they have that fight spell, so it's fairly mediocre anyways. This hand is fine. It doesn't have Tron yet, but it's got a good avenue to it. Also has Drifter, Pulse. Solid hand. Definitely don't mulligan it. Not really. You want the 1 weather to stay out of longbow range, but a lot of the time you just want to find the fog. Like, if they vines your Ephemerate, you're further behind than if you had a weather instead of the Prohibit. You really do want 1 counterspell in there, so you can protect your wall Ephemerate a bit better. I think it's pretty close between the two. Turn 1 Pit Skulk is pretty weak as far as turn 1 threats go. There's the fog. Hey there, Jowsy. Ooh, right. We'll wait till there's more viewers. I need a new emote. I'll address it a bit better later. Oh my god, my opponent's opening hand is a lot better than a turn 1 Pit Skulk. That's insane, double Rancor. But it looks like he's pretty low on pressure still. I think we're going to go turn 2 Prophetic Prism. Because if he has Artifact Destruction, I'll be kind of inclined to go for it with this mana base. And then I can decide if I want to go for Tron or an Artifact with my search spells. Hopefully he doesn't have it. That would be very nice. If this is all the pressure he has, that would also be very nice. Burning Tree is really nutty. Because that puts him closer to pressure. Lethal. So there's a Prohibit. We also have a Fog in hand. We're not too scared yet. He's got 2 in hand, so it's likely he's going to be able to show us lethal here. But he needs a pump spell first, which is good for us, because it can just go down to 2 safely. And we're going to. Awesome. Alright, let's dig for Tron. Well, there's Tron and another moment. Now we have a counterspell. We just need to find a wall. So play the mine. I think we're just going to pass the fog. And Impulse / Prohibit. We're going to go for the one from Graveyard because I find wall I want to get back Ephemerate anyways. And we'll probably end up impulsing unless he plays something we need to respect and Prohibit. See what we find here. There's another Ephemerate, but we don't really need that. We're going to take Impulse here. Kind of would have preferred a Prism, but is what it is, because we actually need the extra colors. We should have plenty of time to find what we want. I'm not too scared here. So fog, impulse. I'm just gonna discard the map. I don't need it. It's pretty strange. There's a chance we just want to weather the storm here to punish him, but that requires playing 2 cells, and if he has enough pump, he does get me. Could also just go for the Pulse of Marasa, go up to 8, and then fight over any pump he has. Because he'd need a +4 to get us there. He did not play a land drop. We're going to go ahead and do that. I feel confident enough that he won't be able to kill me. Not throw prohibit, at least. Because we don't have the wall yet, we do want to conserve our fogs as much as we can. Not really sure why he didn't attack everybody, but I'll take it. Punish him for it. And we get the impulse off. There's the wall. There's also a prism, because we do actually need the prism to set up ephemerate plus the loop with the fog. But we have time for that. We will play the wall here. We'll go ahead and get impulse, because we have teachings for ephemerate. I just need the prism. If he kills my wall, I don't really mind. We've got 2 pulses running around. Because as it is right now, we need to fog and ephemerate every turn. We should be able to find it without any issues, but we're going to go ahead and respect our opponent here. And not grab the greedy ephemerate. And we have 2 in our deck. There we go. Could also grab the second wall and set up a flicker loop. But I want the prism. There's the flicker. I want to respect what he can do as much as possible. So I think we're going to go ahead and flicker our wall here and attempt to buy back our Moment's Peace. I'm actually going to bounce a land as well. So if he has the vines, he needs multiple vines now to stop me. Because I'm expecting him to have the vines here. And we will fight over this, I think. Actually, do we need to? We don't need to. But I think I will. So I untap. I'm going to. So that still leaves me with 5 here. He has double vines. Alright. Correct in fighting then. So it's not that big of a deal. Play your land here. We're going to go ahead and weather. Because that's just a lot of life. And that leaves my teachings in my hand. So it lets us play a bit better around the relic off the top. Because that would hurt a bit. But now we get to keep our teachings. And we can respect the relic off the top. Because he's not going to be able to kill me with this much pressure. Double vines is step 1, but he didn't have step 2. So that was a very, very strong showing. Our draws were good. Opponent's draws weren't bad at all. Like, his draws were actually pretty decent. Game 1 was bad, but you play Stompy and you do mulligan low sometimes. It just happens. The deck doesn't run very many lands, and it needs to have the right mix of cards. Overall, that went very, very well for us. That's about how you expect the matchup to play out. We're on 4 fogs, so we're very likely to find them. We were fortunate we found Tron by turn 4 both games. Well, not even fortunate. That's average. I lied. Yeah, our draws were average. Game 1 was a little nutty, but game 2 was very average. We didn't have a nut draw or anything. We took a while to find the wall. Opponent had a decent pressure hand, but we were able to buy enough time. Game 2 is about how you expect most of your games to play out. We were a little slow on the second prism, but that's fine. We got there. Strong showing.